Starting recording. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to class today. We are going to start recording. I'm going to take off these glasses. Oh, look, it was me the whole time. Tricky, huh? Today we have several things to do. I'm going to read you a story because it's really a great story for thinking about how you want to write your first person narrative. I saw a lot of you turned in the graphic organizer to me, and a lot of you turned in your story mountain to me. If you did that, awesome, you're right on. If you turned in the graphic organizer and then later you wanted to replace it with your story mountain, you're welcome to do that. Subi already did that, nice job. So today we're moving on with our story. So we've thought of different ways to generate a story. And you know what else I need to do? I need to pin my video because last time I forgot to, and then my video was super tiny. So we've talked about a lot of different ways to come up with a story that you might want to write, thinking about times that we had really strong emotions. And we talked about writing a small moment story, not like I did this, then I did this, then I did this, then I did this through a whole week or a month or a vacation, but picking one moment that was super special and slowing down the action to show that story in a way that your reader feels like they're right there with you. So what I mean by that is, and we're going to practice this a little bit today, I call this S-A.I.D writing. Have you guys ever heard of that? S-A.I.D writing, S-A.I.D? What I mean by that is that when we're writing, we want to make sure that we are including enough details, sensory details, that the people who are listening to our story or reading our story feel like they can see where you are, see what you're doing, and understand your feelings. So I call this S-A.I.D. First, the S stands for setting. I'd like you guys to grab your notebooks right now, and I would like you to write this down. Setting, S. Everybody grab your notebooks and write this down. So find the next clean page in your notebook, maybe not right next to your story. And you're going to go in there and you're just going to put an S, period, and write setting. You can do it separately or you can do it like my poster. Setting, right? That's the S. So you might say, well, Ms. Laws, what do you mean by setting? And I guess what I mean is, right now you can see me, right? But if I were to black my screen, how could I use my words to show you where I am right now so that you could see it? So I might say, sitting on the floor in front of my green screen. I was happy every time I looked back and saw what my classroom used to look like with my virtual background. It was a warm morning. The sun was streaming through the window and all of the students were running to get their notebooks. What I'm doing right now is I'm painting a picture with my words. I'm using my words to describe the setting and not just what it looks like, but what it feels like. I said a warm morning. I might describe that it was quiet. The students in this class are amazing at keeping their microphones muted so everyone can hear. All right, so setting includes what it looks like, what it sounds like, everything about it so that you can imagine the setting. I'm going to read this story in a minute. It has amazing settings. So right now, everybody grab your notebook, take a page and write setting on your page. I'm going to give you one more second to do that. And from now on, you really need to bring your notebooks to class so that you're ready to go. You're going to be doing a lot of writing this month in class. And you might be thinking, oh, but by the end of month, you're going to be like, Miss Laws, let's write today. I love it. I know I already have writers out there. Okay. The next thing that you want to include in every story is what I call step-by-step action, or the A in S-A.I.D, action. And you might be like, yeah, I like action. Action. All right, so action, what I mean by action is you don't just say, Ms. Laws was talking, because yeah, I'm talking, but you need to include details so that you can actually see like how I'm moving. Like right now, did you notice I sort of stopped talking? And when I was thinking, what did my eyes do? They looked up, right? So if I were writing this, I might say I paused, my eyes turned up as I thought of what I wanted to say next. Now that's a step-by-step action. It describes what my face looks like. What I was feeling might be a step-by-step action, right? My hands clutched in front of my face as I spoke to the students. Clara smiled slightly as she sat up and hunched her shoulders. Gagan shook his head a little bit as he shook the kinks out of his neck from last night. These are step-by-step actions. They're little tiny actions. Nora swayed side to side and scratched her head and rubbed her eyes as she woke up. These words that are coming out of my mouth now, they're step-by-step actions. Haben leaned over on one arm, bringing his knee up to get more comfortable. Riot scratched his mouth, pulling something out of his teeth. All right. Tyler swung back and forth in his chair, listening to what the teacher had to say. Emily crossed and stretched her arms. Okay, those are all step-by-step actions. They're little things. Emma hunched over her notebook, taking careful notes, right? Those are little steps that you want to include. So we do show, not tell actions, little step-by-step actions. The third letter in our S-A-I-D is the I. This is probably the most important one. I keep telling you about feelings. The I stands for inner thoughts. Now, when you see somebody, you can't really tell what they're thinking, but in stories, you often can, and especially stories that are about us, where we tell them in first person, like you're writing this story. In a first person narrative, since you're the one telling it, you know what you're thinking inside your head. So this is the inner thought that you want to include. Right now, my inner thought is, have I given them enough time to take notes? Am I going too fast or too slow? Ms. Laws wondered as she looked at the students' faces. Pausing for a moment, she thought, I don't want to bore them, but I would like them to have enough time to finish. Thumbs up if you're ready to move on to the last letter of S-A-I-D. I see a thumb up, I see thumbs up. All right, friends. The last letter of S-A-I-D is, like I said, stories have a lot of things in them that are good. One of the things that kids will do sometimes when they're writing a story is they're smart and they know that they need to include things people said. But instead of including exactly what somebody said, they might say, Ms. Laws told us how to write a story. And that's kind of boring. So I'd rather have you say, we use S-A-I-D writing, comma, quotation marks, said Ms. Laws, or shouted Ms. Laws, or lectured Ms. Laws, going on and on for hours. So the last letter is D, stands for dialogue. Dialogue. It's kind of a weird spelling at the end of dialogue. It looks like gooey. That's how you spell dialogue. That's talking. And it means the exact words that come out of your mouth. So you don't say, my mom called me. Instead, you put quotations and you say, come here, said my mom. All right. So I'm going to write you a story, or read you a story that's a really great story. It's called Fireflies by Julie Brinklow. And you probably have heard it before, or maybe you've heard it before, but it's a great story because she uses S-A-I-D writing. And here's what I want you to do. If you hear setting or action or inner thought or dialogue, let's use the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to put on here, I want to do it in a bright color. Here we go. This will be 1. If you hear setting, you're going to hold up one finger. If I say, okay, what was that sentence? And if it was a setting sentence, you're going to hold up one finger. If it was an action sentence, you're going to hold up 2 fingers, action. If you think it was an inner thought sentence, you're going to hold up 3 fingers. And I will tell you something tricky about Julie Brinklow. She doesn't come right out and say like he thought, but sometimes the way he says something shows the inner thought, okay? She has one word in there where she says, fireflies, exclamation mark. How do you think that shows the boy is feeling when he sees the fireflies? What feeling does that show? Anybody? Just speak up.
Happiness.
Yeah,
Excited.
happiness, excitement.
side of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to show that inner thought. You don't actually have to say, I thought. You can just say, you know, potatoes for dinner. And that shows that you're thinking it. All right, so you guys are gonna vote. As I'm reading these, I'm gonna ask you about sentences, and I want you to hold up fingers to show me a 1, 2, 3, or 4. You should have this chart in front of you. Here we go. On a summer evening. What do you think? 1, 2, 3, or 4, folks? On a summer evening. I see a 1. I see a lot of 1s out there. I need you to unmute your screen. So turn on your screen if you can, so that I can see you. Good job. That's setting. That's a 1. I looked up from dinner. What's that one? I looked up from dinner. I see a 2. Yep, just vote with your fingers, please. Kaylee and Griffin, I'd love to see your faces. Jaden, love to see your faces. I'm gonna go to the large gallery view so I can see more of you. All right, awesome. I see a lot of 2s out there. That's an action. I looked up from dinner. You can see him look up. That's an action. All right, here we go. Through the open window to the backyard. What do you think that one is? I see some 2s out there, like an action. I see a 1 from Gagan. Okay, I see a 1 from Gracie. I see mostly 1s through the open window to the backyard. Now you can see the boy. He's looking up from dinner, so he's sitting at the table and looking out the open window to the backyard. It's kind of an action, but it's also kind of a setting, isn't it? Let's keep going. You guys are doing great. It was growing dark. My treehouse was a black shape in the tree. I see a 1. I see some 1s. Yep, there's some more setting. Now, boys and girls, this is really important because I'll tell you what, a lot of times kids give me stories and they go like this. No, I said, that's mine. Give it to me, he answered. No, it's mine. I want it. Give it to me. No, go get it yourself. And there's all this dialogue and I have no idea where it's coming from. It's like there's a black room and there's just these voices. So I don't want you to write me a story that's in a black room with just voices. You've got to do the setting and a lot of it at the start so that I can see where you are, okay? And this is nice show not tell setting. They're not just saying the boy was sitting at a table looking out the window into his backyard at his treehouse. That would be boring, wouldn't it? But look at how she did that. She said that it's the exact thing, but she showed it. On a summer evening, I looked up from dinner through the open window to the backyard. It was growing dark. My treehouse was a black shape in the tree, and I wouldn't go up there now. What about that sentence? I wouldn't go up there now. What is that showing? Ooh, I see Clara's got a 3. Emma's got a 3. One of you guys unmute and tell me what feeling that's showing, that inner thought. You're right. You guys are so smart. How's he feeling?
Feeling like he shouldn't go over there right now till probably like his parents fall asleep or something.
Anybody have another idea?
Scared.
Yeah? Just say it out loud. Scared? Okay, it's dark. The treehouse looks kind of scary out there, like a black shape in the tree. He's not going to go up there. That's showing he was scared. But did the author say, I looked out at the treehouse, it was dark and looked scary, so I felt scared? She showed you that he felt scared by saying, I wouldn't go up there now. That was sneaky. It's hard to write like this. This author's really good at it. But something flickered there a moment. I looked and it was gone. It flickered again over near the fence. Fireflies. And here's this one word that I was telling you, that the way they wrote it, it shows emotion, doesn't it? Don't let your dinner get cold, said Mama. What's that sentence? Don't let your dinner get cold, said Mama. There's our number 4. There's our dialogue. Okay, friends. I'm going to finish reading the story. I'm not going to make you guess on every one because I think you get the idea of what we're looking for. I forked the meat and corn and potatoes into my mouth. Please, may I go out? The fireflies. Mama smiled and Daddy nodded. I'm going to pin my video again so that, let's see. Move pin. Oh, I know. Here we go. Oh, Ms. Laws, she's lost her video. Gallery, pin video. There we go. All right. Mama smiled, Daddy nodded. Go ahead, they said. I ran from the table down to the cellar to find a jar. I knew where to look, behind the stairs. Do you think he's ever done this before? The jars were dusty and I polished one clean on my shirt. Ooh, what's that sentence? I polished the jar clean on my shirt. What do you think that is? I see Abby saying too. Kaylee, we talked earlier about sitting upright and not being lying down during class. You need to sit up, please. Thank you. Then I ran back up the stairs, 2 at a time. Holes, I remembered, so they can breathe, and as quietly as I could, so she wouldn't catch me doling them, I poked holes in the top of the jar with Mama's good scissors. Sneaky. The screen door banged behind me as I ran from the house. If someone said, don't slam it, I wasn't listening. I called to my friends in the street, fireflies, but they had come before me with polished jars, and others were coming behind. So you see that there's a little bit of action, little bit of setting, little bit of inner thought, little bit of dialogue, little bit of action, little bit of setting, little bit of inner thought, little bit of dialogue. S-A.I.D writing. Doesn't have to go in that order, but you have to have those all in there. The sky was darker now. There's our setting. My ears rang with crickets and my eyes stung from staring too long. There's our action. I blinked hard as I watched them. Action. Fireflies, blinking on, blinking off, dipping low, soaring high above my head, making white patterns in the dark. Ooh, I've seen fireflies once. They seem like a miracle to me. We ran like crazy, barefoot in the grass. Catch them, we cried, grasping at the lights. Do you see how she's showing inner thought, both with her pictures and her words? Suddenly, I love this page. Suddenly, a voice called out above the others. I caught one, and it was my own. I thrust my hand into the jar and spread it open. She has really great word choice. She just doesn't say, I put the firefly in the jar. I thrust my hand into the jar and spread it open. The jar glowed like moonlight, and I held it in my hands. I felt a tremble of joy and shouted, I can catch hundreds. Then we dashed about, waving our hands in the air like nets, catching 2, 10, hundreds of fireflies, thrusting them into jars, waving our hands for more. I like this story too because it's a small moment. It takes place in just a few, maybe an hour. Then someone called from my house, it's time to come in now. And others called from other houses, and it was over. My friends took jars of fireflies to different homes. So before we had cell phones and things, we used to play in the neighborhood, and when it was time to come in, all our mothers would go out and just shout our names in the neighborhood, and we'd hear our moms calling. I climbed the stairs to my room and set the jar on a table by my bed. Mama kissed me and turned out the light. I caught hundreds, I said. Can you guys feel the action slowing down now? Things are getting slower, and that's really important because we're getting close to the heart of the story, and that's where you want to do your best writing. And you really want action to slow down so we can focus on that emotion. Daddy called from the hallway. See you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile, I called back. I caught hundreds of fireflies. He's pretty excited still, isn't he? Let's see how the author builds the heart of the story, because this story is sort of intense. Here we go. In the dark, I watched the fireflies from my bed. They blinked off and on, and the jar glowed like moonlight. But it was not the same. So is anything happening in the story right now? Any action? Not much, right? He's just watching the jar. The fireflies beat their wings against the glass and fell to the bottom where they lay. Uh-oh. What's happening? The light in the jar turned yellow like a flashlight left on too long. I tried to swallow, but something in my throat would not go down. That's an interesting sentence. Tried to swallow, but something in my throat would not go down. Here the author is showing us, not telling us how he's feeling. And the light grew dimmer, green like moonlight underwater. I shut my eyes tight and put the pillow over my head. They were my fireflies. I caught them. They made moonlight in my jar, but the jar was nearly dark. Again, that author is not saying, I felt really sad because my fireflies were dying. She's showing us, isn't she, with her words. I flung off the covers. I went to the window and I opened the jar and I aimed it at the stars. Fly. Do you see how slow things are and exciting? Then the jar began to glow. Green, then gold, then white as the moon. There's our setting again. And the fireflies poured out into the night. There's the action. Fireflies blinking on, blinking off, dipping low, soaring high above my head, making circles around the moon, like stars dancing. We're not quite done because she's going to show us one more inner thought. I held the jar dark and empty. There's action and description, right, in my hands. And the moonlight and the fireflies swam in my tears. I love that. But I could feel myself smiling. Boys and girls, this author is a master of S-A.I.D writing. What I'm going to have you do right now is I'm going to have you do a little bit of S-A.I.D writing. So you need your notebook and you need a pen and you need to turn to a clean page, and I am going to do some things and I want you to write it. Okay? This sounds a little weird, doesn't it? I'll tell you what, I'm going to show you how to do this by doing it myself first. So I'm going to turn my very high-tech paper over. I'm going to grab my pen and I'm going to demonstrate how I might write this scene. I'd like everybody to unmute your, or turn on your video if you will, please, so that I can see you and make sure you know what's going on. And now I'm going to show you how I would do this. So let's say this happened. Okay, so we're just going to start right now. So. Good morning, class. Oh, I'm so glad you're all here. Okay, end of scene. In fact, wait a minute. I have something even better for this. Where is it? Oh my goodness, Ms. Laws, did you lose your cool thing you've been waiting to use? Ah, I can't believe it. I have one of those cool director things, but I can't find it now. Darn it. Oh well, I'll find it later. You know those things that they do on movies where they say scene? Well, I bought one and I have one, but I can't find it. But I'll find it later for you because I know that you want to see it because it's so much fun. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think I see it. Here it is. Cool. Okay, here we go. Ready? Scene. So if Ms. Loss were writing what I just did, if I were going to tell it, so this is not what I want you to do. We don't tell, okay? If I were going to tell it, and I'm going to say, don't do that, I would say, Ms. Laws peeked in the screen and was embarrassed. Sorry about my sloppy writing, but right now is not a time to spend a long time on writing. All right, that's tell writing, and it's kind of boring. And it doesn't show what's going on, and so it's not S-A-I-D writing. So what I do want you to do is show. So let's start with setting, right? So I would say, since it's from my perspective, I heard, because remember, sound is also setting, and noise from the computer. Now I want some action. Curious, well, there's some inner thought. I peeked down to see what was on the screen. There's some action. You can see me peeking down. Inner thought. Shocked, surprised. Surprised. I saw my class. No, my students staring at me. Inner thought, right? Inner thought. Oops. Oops. My stomach felt funny. As I remembered we had class. Okay, now I have my setting, my action, my inner thought, and I need my dialogue. So what did I say to you guys? Good morning, class. I said, trying to sound
Professional?
trying to sound like I knew we had class. Okay, so this is tell writing. It's short, it's not descriptive, it doesn't include details. You can't see it like a movie. This is show writing, where you describe where you are, you tell what you're feeling, you give the step-by-step actions. And the best way to do this is to just practice. So right now I'm gonna do something else on the screen and I want you guys to write it. Are you ready?
Wait, no, not yet, not yet.
So get a pencil and get paper and I'm gonna do something and you're gonna write it, okay? I'm gonna back this up so that you can see a little bit more of me. Oh, here we go. I'll give you a new setting. All right, are you ready? And you guys are gonna write it. You may use your imaginations because you can't see inside my head. So you get to use your imaginations to add the inner thought. And here we will begin the scene. Scene. Oh, finally. Oh. Oh. I wonder what's for dinner. Oh. End of scene. Write it. Setting, action, inner thought, and dialogue. And then I'm going to have some people share those by reading them out loud. Or I might have you guys all go in small breakout rooms and read what you wrote to each other. I can't wait to see what you write. This is going to be fun. This is my favorite lesson I teach all year in class. So write down what you saw. Try to do it using setting, action, inner thought, and dialogue. And if it helps you, just do it in that order. Write.
I'm done.
I can see everybody writing. Add some more details. Did you include good setting, some small actions, some inner thought? Please don't write down, Ms. Laws came in, sat on the bed and said this. You gotta actually describe it like you're me. And you guys can be writing using I if you want to. I flopped on the bed. I thought this. I forgot to tell you that part. Next time you can do it, if you didn't do it this time. Give you a couple more minutes to write it. If you already wrote it, add some details. Ooh, look at you guys all writing. Good for you. Awesome. I thought this would be hard to do on Zoom, but I think it's going okay. Looks like Elijah's ready. Yeah.
Was your bed like in your office? Like, what was the setting?
Yeah, I mean, you saw it. There's a bed right there and a window. It's actually a bedroom and my office is in a bedroom. It used to be a bedroom before we all had to go to work in our bedrooms. Okay, this thing is so cool. I got to get something I can write on it with.
Is that a virtual background?
This? This is a
No, the
No,
back.
this is a real background now. All right, guys, how we doing? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready. If you need another minute, just keep writing. Okay, so one more minute to finish writing and then we're gonna share. This time we're gonna share whole group, and next time I'm gonna do it one more time and then you guys can share in breakout rooms so that everybody will get to read. So if you would like to read yours, go ahead and put your hand up on your screen if you know how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, go to participants and then it'll say raise hand next to you and you can raise your own hand.
Where do you find? Oh, never mind.
Participants is on the bottom. Okay, I see a couple of hands up. Good job, you guys. If you'd like to read yours, raise your hand, be brave. I'm sure they're gonna be awesome.
Clear.
All right, we got 3, 4 people ready to read. All right, even if you're still working, I'm gonna let some kids start reading. So Clara, nice and slow and clear, go ahead and unmute and read yours.
Miss Laws walked into her room and flopped down on her velvet red bed. She was exhausted after a long day of work. She said to herself, I wonder what we will have for dinner. Then she rolled over and fell asleep.
Very nice. All right, Vi, your turn.
Well, I didn't know you had to explain the whole story. I just thought you had to pick one of the S-A-I-D things. So
Oh, well, then read us the part that you did right. Read us the sentence.
I thought it was inner thoughts because you said, I wonder what's for dinner.
Oh, you identified it. Okay, so next time you're actually writing the story, okay? We'll do it again. Em, go ahead and unmute and share yours. And then when you're done sharing, make sure you put your hand down, guys. Em, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it. She's still writing.
Okay. Miss Laws was in a room that was bright and shiny. I had a warm feeling like the sun was shining down on a beach with sand. She looked tired as she stretched on the bed. She thought, what is for dinner?
Awesome. So I love you had a simile in there, like a beach, right? Nice. Emma, go ahead. These are awesome, you guys. Emma, you're still muted. Still muted. Let's go to somebody else, and then Emma, when you get unmuted, we'll come back. Oh, are you ready? Go ahead.
I'm not ready yet. I just
Oh, okay, okay. Nora, go ahead, honey. Read it nice and loud.
Lois walked into her room. She sleepily. Wait, 1 second. I made a mistake on here.
That's okay. Just read it the way you want it to talk, the way you want it to sound.
Miss Lost walked in her room. She sleepily laid down on her red velvet bed. She thought to herself, what's for dinner? And fell asleep.
Beautiful. Hey, Ben, go for it.
Okay, so
You guys are awesome.
finally, Miss Laws said, crashing onto her warm bed wearifully. She lay in her room surrounded with books while thinking about dinner.
Excellent. Okay, you guys, we're going to stop on this one and we're going to do another one. And I'm sorry if you didn't get to share, but on your next one, I'm going to put you in a breakout room and you're going to get to share. So this time I want you to switch it a little bit. And here's what I'd like you to do. I would like you to write in first person, which means you're pretending that you are me. And you're going to say, I did this, I did that, I thought this, okay? Because that's how your story is being written, is in first person. So I'm going to do something. You're going to pretend that you're me and you're going to write it. So just put a line on the paper and get ready to write another one. And this time I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to write, and then I'm going to put you in breakout rooms so that you can all share your writing. Okay? Here we go, friends. I got to get my scene ready. Where is my scene? Here we go. All right.
You've got to write tape 2 on the camera or something.
Well, I don't know what to write on it with, to tell you
No,
the
like
truth.
where you
You
see.
need chalk.
I need chalk.
Ordinary
Okay, here we go.
white
Ready?
chalk.
All right. Scene. not muted, Alex. And end of scene. You guys couldn't see my face though, could you?
Well, I couldn't like see anything because my computer froze for a second, like Zoom.
Uh-oh.
So I didn't.
So I snuck into a room and acted sneaky and took something out of a drawer. So write that scene as if you were me. Remember, you guys are writing it like I did this. And don't say exactly what I just said because that would just be telling, not showing.
Flaws. Is it okay if I describe the room as my room?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you should do. Perfect. Or you can make it your sister's room. You can make it your mother's room, whatever. If you get stuck, remember your SAID will help you. Setting, action, inner thought, and dialogue.
Miss Laws, what was the object?
You can make up what it was. What's that silly thing?
I thought it was a phone.
That's okay. Make it a phone if you want to. I'm going to pause the recording because this is getting really